Welcome back, you wonderful, wonderful human being. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. And I'm excited but a little bit hesitant, I think, for today's episode, but it's an important one. So my last two episodes were about mental health, and Josh was wonderful in being so transparent and open and vulnerable in sharing his story. So much so that it encouraged me to be really open and vulnerable about my mental health journey and my bipolar diagnosis and experience with self-harm and medication. And these are things that I haven't openly talked about before. Not even with my, psychologist, my psychiatrist, my partner. Parts of it, yes, but a lot of it, no. And it was scary. It was liberating, but it was also scary. And I wanted to unpack that today because vulnerability is scary. And it's not simple. Now, I actually put up a post on LinkedIn for last week's episode about medication, and I shared publicly on LinkedIn my bipolar 2 diagnosis. This was a big decision for me because I am not generally very open about it due to a lack of understanding about bipolar by the general public and fear of judgment. I think it's viewed very negatively and it's used in conversation negatively, and it's just so misunderstood. So I haven't been open about it. But I decided to be open about it because I am a huge advocate for staying true to who you are. And bipolar has been part of me, at least on an official basis, for 8 years. I think it's been in my life longer than that, but an official diagnosis that long. And it is such a part of me. It influences how I see the world, how I experience the world. It is so much a part of who I am. So I decided to be open about that, to take a step forward, be brave and courageous and go, look, this is who I am. And I hope it encouraged some people to maybe do the same one day, but also to just get other people to think about mental health. That's why I posted it. Now, I posted that last week and I haven't actually been on LinkedIn since because I've been terrified. And this got me thinking because one part of vulnerability is sharing it, being vulnerable and sharing it. So for me, that's sharing my diagnosis, both on the podcast and then more publicly on LinkedIn, where there's a lot more people who see and engage with it. But the other part of the vulnerability is how that's received. It's not just about me putting it out there. How was it received? I have no fucking idea. I don't know. I'm a bit scared because, it's opening the doors for people to judge me, right? I'm opening that floodgate, and I made that decision, and I'm still okay with that, but I haven't been in a headspace where I'm ready to look at it. I'm not expecting negative comments, but there could be, right? And that's scary. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Vulnerability, part of it is sharing it, and then there's the receiving side. It's vulnerable to receive feedback as well as actually share your story. And I thought on today's episode, I'd see if there are any comments on the LinkedIn post. I know there was one because I did actually look not long after posting it. A close friend did put a comment on there, which was lovely, but I haven't looked since. So let's go on now. You're going to hear my reaction live. Yeah, I'm nervous. I can feel my heart going already. So I'm just going to take my deep breath and, be brave on this. By the way, you can watch my podcasts on YouTube if you like to have a visual, so feel free to do that. It says I've got 19 notifications, but often they're not really notifications, right? So let's have a look. Oh yeah, there's a few comments. Okay. I'm actually getting sweaty. I'm really, okay, let's click on it. So there's that comment I've already seen. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Rosie, and your lived experiences. Still here with you, sister. And, that means so much to me. Just someone saying thank you, and, it doesn't change our relationship, right? You're still you. And in that comment, she's also said, thank you for showing up authentically. And I know your story will resonate with others and help us show up for each other in new, healthier ways. Absolutely. That's a big reason of why I've done it. Here's another person. She's a psychologist, actually, so gets this space. She said, so proud of you for leaning into your inner voice and expressing such vulnerability in this space. You're a shining beacon for raising awareness and facilitating change. Oh, that's so lovely. And another comment, thank you for your courage to share. Also still here. Medication is necessary for some people in some conditions. It's helpful for other people in other conditions. Some people don't need it. Wherever you fall, mental health needs are real. Yes, they are, right? When we're all so different. And she shared her experience when she was on medication for the first time for depression and anxiety. Yeah. This resonates. She says, I remember the triumph when I was able to get off medication. I remember the heartache, shame, and grief when I realized I needed to go back on. Oh, yeah. I've tried to come off my medication before under medical guidance. I didn't manage to get off. I got to a very low dose, and then it was too much. The depression was coming back in, and it was affecting my day-to-day functioning, and it had to increase again, and I'm on it. And I realize that just because I feel relatively normal on the medication doesn't mean that I'll feel that way off it. It's a sign that the medication is working, because sometimes I think to myself, do I really have bipolar? But I do. And I guess my normal is very different to other people's normals. The rest of the comment said, what a brave act to take care of yourself, get the help you need, and stay committed to your mental health and well-being. Thank you for letting us all say that we know someone who has bipolar. Thank you for not being too afraid to share. Oh, that's so nice. And even though it's just a few comments, it's really nice to get that feedback, I also got a private message from someone who I used to work with, and they were very supportive and just said, the word they used wasn't proud. I can't remember what it was. Let's see if I can find the message. This is fun, isn't it? Listening to me search through my messages. Impressed. She said, can I just say how impressed I am with your recent LinkedIn announcement? I had no idea you had this diagnosis. And she shared that, if we were still working together, perhaps she could, use this new knowledge to perhaps support me better. And that's so meaningful. I've never openly shared my diagnosis in the workplace, and I'm not in the workplace anymore, and I don't really plan to go back, but I hope that one day more people feel safe to share their diagnoses, because I think that's when we can understand each other better and support each other better, which is so important. I don't really have much more to say this week. This episode's a little bit late coming out. I've been quite stressed lately. I've been doing a lot of work on the van. I've got 2 months before I move out of my house and I'm in the van full time. There's quite a bit more work to do. And I went on a little camping trip over the weekend, and my water tank fell off, and it was just really stressful. And I think something that this experience is teaching me is you just gotta take a deep breath and adapt, because so much shit goes wrong. And, my immediate reaction is to put myself down and feel helpless and useless because what I've done hasn't worked. But, I'm learning to get better, to just take a breath and go, okay, how can I solve this? It's not the end of the world. It's not what I wanted, but how can I solve it? And this is a learning process for me, right? And yeah, it's been a busy time, but I'm here. I'm putting an episode out. It's kind of a short one. But I just wanted to have a chat. I have no idea who listens to this, so let me know. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me an email, rosie@cookalini.com. I want to hear from you. I know there's a few people listening, right? I can see the numbers. And yeah, if you haven't already, listen to the previous 2 episodes about mental health. It deep dives into depression, self-harm. We talk about suicide as well, medication, how to support people in your life who are having a hard time. I think they're really important episodes. But just bear in mind there's some difficult topics there. So if that's triggering for you, a bit difficult to listen to, maybe now's not the time and you can come back to it as and when you feel ready, right? Or maybe just give it a skip altogether. Another episode will be out next week. I'm just looking up what episode it will be because I'm not on top of that at the moment. In fact, I think I have some editing to do. Yeah, we've got an episode with Lydia Lowry Bustler, and her story is an amazing one. You know, she's had some really difficult times in her life, including a horrific accident she was in that was just absolutely life-changing, and the surgery actually left her in unbearable pain. But we talk through how she's been on this incredible healing journey and has found joy despite that awful event happening in her life that still impacts her today. So tune in next week. We've got heaps more episodes to come. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And wherever you are in the world, know that you are worth it and you deserve to be happy. I'll catch you next week. If this episode resonated with you at all, could I please ask that you share it with a friend who you think could get value from it? And whilst you're doing that, make sure you follow and subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss another episode. And whilst you're following or subscribing, please leave us a rating, preferably 5 stars, and also a written review. Doing each of these things is going to help this podcast reach more people and impact more lives, which is, at the end of the day, is what we're here to do. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Remember, you matter, you're worth it, and you are so capable. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week.